Hello, today I'm going to be telling you about a small but very influential game studio called Team Cherry, which is known to a large amount of indie gamers for the games that they have produced. I'll be going over their history briefly before I talk about their ethics and policies and what they're planning to do in the future. On this slide, you can see the banners of the two games which were responsible for Team Cherry's popularity. On the left is their first ever game, which came out in 2017 called Hollow Knight, and on the right is Silksong, the sequel to their first game, which was released recently this summer. These are actually the only two games that have been made by this studio, but their quality was so high and their success so overwhelming that Team Cherry now has a prime spot in the gaming industry. But making big numbers isn't all. This studio is also widely recognized and respected as an ethical studio. The reason for this is that despite knowing that their second game would sell very well, as it was incredibly anticipated by the community and that they spent 7 years making it, Team Cherry decided to keep their prices low by selling Silksong at €20, unlike the majority of modern game studios, which now tend to sell their games for around 60 to €80. By selling a game which offered extremely high quality for a low price, Team Cherry earned the respect of their community. But this is not all. It's common practice for game studios to give a copy of a soon-to-release project to game journalists so that they can make videos and reviews about it, in order to hype the game up and get some extra playtest along the way. But this is not what Team Cherry decided to do. You see, game journalists generally aren't very respected by the communities that they talk about, because they own themselves from these communities and don't represent it well in their analysis, sometimes not even being gamers at all. That's why the player base was very pleased to learn that journalists would be getting the game in the same time as the player base. To sum it up, we can say that Team Cherry is a brand that's very respected as a game studio because they are dedicated to providing great quality content and, above all, always respect the time and money that the players spend on their games. Now, since Team Cherry released their last game, Silksong, only a few months ago, and since it took them 7 years to make, it's difficult to know what their plans for the future are. We can be certain that for a few months or years they'll keep working on Silksong to add bug fixes and add DLCs, but what's coming after that is unknown. It does seem like they aren't willing to stop where they are though, as is written at the end of Silksong's last cutscene, although we don't know if they'll keep working on Hollow Knight's universe. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you find that you learned something interesting today, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them in an email. At the end of the day though, my name is Morphee, and thank you for watching.